Support for this podcast comes from the St. Alphonsus Neuroscience Institute, offering technology to provide treatment for neurological, neurosurgical, and neurointerventional conditions. This includes a dedicated neurotrauma ICU for critical care of the brain or spine and a 24/7 stroke team. More at stalphonsus.org.
The Winter Olympics are back, and Boise State Public Radio Music is celebrating the 25th Games in Milan Cortina.
Welcome to the 25th Winter Olympic Games.
NPR is covering the Games from Italy, bringing you the stories behind the competition now through February 22nd.
It's been amazing being here with Team USA.
From new events to medal counts and Team USA's highlights, follow it all with NPR's 2026 Winter Olympics coverage at boisestatepublicradio.org.
Good morning. It's Friday, February 20th. This is The Connector, Idaho Daily News from Boise State Public Radio. I'm Troy Oppie in this morning for George Prentice. Today's headlines: what a recent policy survey shows about support for abortion services in the Gem State, a suspect still at large after ramming a stolen ambulance into a St. Luke's building in Meridian Wednesday, and a record-setting gold medal day for Idaho's Hillary Knight at the Olympics. We start this morning at the State House. A bill that would have forced Idaho's public schools to begin each academic year the day after Labor Day is dead. Here's James Dawson with more.
The House Education Committee voted 9-5 to squash the bill after school districts heavily opposed it. Grace School District Superintendent Jason Moss says starting classes after Labor Day would disrupt a 2-week break during the September potato harvest.
If it's wet, we extend it even further. Which would render the first few weeks of school pretty much useless because they'll forget a lot of what they learn.
Other school officials say district parents prefer the earlier start time in exchange for longer holiday breaks. Pam Eaton, president of the Idaho Lodging and Restaurant Association, was the bill's only public supporter. She says earlier start dates hurt businesses.
A lot of our most popular tourism areas have to close down because either they don't have enough workers or they can't depend on how many people are there because the majority are now in school.
The bill is now effectively dead for the year. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
Legislative budget leaders Thursday defended the cuts they've ordered to government services. Joint Finance Appropriations Committee co-chairs Senator Scott Groh and Representative Josh Tanner told media Thursday they're trying to bring government spending under control and match the state's spending with state revenue. The Idaho Capital Sun reports the Budget Writing Committee has approved the current year 4-year budget rescission bill and many of the upcoming fiscal year budgets with 5% cuts, and those are advancing to the full House. Some legislative opponents and Governor Brad Little's budget chief say the cuts endanger critical government services like public safety programs. Democrats say the state should use $500 million from its rainy day fund to balance the budget, but Republican leadership is not willing to make that withdrawal in a healthy economy. It's not clear when the budget bills will be voted on. The Capital Sun reports the timing is still being worked out by legislative leaders. Idaho's defunct Women's Commission is one step closer to being fully eliminated from law. State lawmakers halted its funding during the 2009 recession, and it hasn't been active since. Its policy recommendations since the 1970s included advocating for equal pay and that women be hired or appointed to the highest professional positions in the state. Senate Democratic leader Melissa Wintrow eulogized the former agency in her floor debate.
Until we can be comfortable in having 3/4 of the body women and not think that's an anomaly, then maybe we need to think about having it.
Senate Republican leader Lori Dinh Hartog says Idaho doesn't need a women's commission in this day and age.
We have come a long way, and we don't need a commission like this anymore, and I think it frankly hasn't been missed in the 17 years that we haven't funded it.
The bill passed on a party line vote and now goes to the House. A majority of Idahoans support a ballot initiative that would restore abortion access across the state. That's according to the latest annual public policy survey from Boise State University. Here's Julie Luquetta with more.
61% of Idahoans said they'd support an initiative that, quote, establishes a right to make private reproductive health care decisions, including abortion, up to fetal viability and in medical emergencies, end quote. The bill would also protect access to fertility treatments and contraception. Head researcher Matthew May says support varies depending on political affiliation.
90 to 94% among Democrats, 66 to 60% among independents, 45 to 47% among Republicans.
A random sample of about 1,000 Idahoans, 18 and over, were surveyed to get a statewide representation. The research also found those who heard the title of the ballot were more likely to support it by a margin of 6 points.
The language, the title, Reproductive Freedom and Privacy Act, does have an impact on the levels of support when the description stays the same.
May says general concerns over privacy and freedom may be behind this.
That's speculation on my part, but I do think that there are certain buzzwords that members of the public do just have a positive reaction to versus a negative one.
The organization behind the initiative, Idahoans United for Women and Families, announced last week it had collected the 70,000 qualifying signatures it needed to bring the issue to voters this November. Julie Luqueta, Boise State Public Radio News.
Meridian police continue to investigate the theft of an unoccupied Canyon County ambulance from St. Luke's Meridian campus late Wednesday evening. The ambulance was then intentionally driven through the main doors of a nearby building on the St. Luke's campus. The hospital says the Portico North building sustained significant damage and remains closed, but there were no St. Luke's personnel in the building at the time of the incident. The hospital says the suspect poured gasoline inside the building after crashing into it, but fled before being able to ignite any fuel. No injuries were reported. No patient services were affected, according to the statement. The damaged building is owned by St. Luke's Medical System, but some office space is being leased to the Department of Homeland Security. It's not clear whether federal officials are actively using space in that building. Communications failures led to a Boise police officer shooting an Idaho Department of Corrections officer in March of 2024. It happened during a prisoner escape as a prisoner was being treated at St. Alphonsus Hospital in Boise. The City of Boise's Office of Police Accountability investigation and a review by Valley County Prosecutor Brian Nagel both concluded that the circumstances leading to the shooting justified the Boise officer's actions that day. Boise PD and Ada County Sheriff's deputies responded within minutes to St. Alphonsus after hospital staff reported a shooting in the ambulance bay. A state inmate being seen at the hospital for treatment had escaped with another man who shot and wounded two corrections officers. 911 calls gave a general description of the suspect, but did not indicate that IDOC officers remained in the ER. When Boise PD arrived, an officer fired upon a man holding a weapon in partial view from the outside of the building. That man turned out to be another IDOC officer who was injured by shrapnel. The OPA report found that communication failures, a lack of notification from IDOC that they were transporting a prisoner, IDOC officers not calling 911 themselves, and information that didn't make it from dispatchers to officers all contributed to the friendly fire shooting. The suspects in that escape, who also face charges for murdering two civilians in North Idaho while on the run, both have pleaded guilty and were recently sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Idaho Power says it has agreed to sell its customer network in Oregon to the Oregon Trail Electrical Cooperative for $154 million, pending regulator approval. In a statement announcing the agreement, Idaho Power President and CEO Lisa Groh says taking Oregon off the utility's books will allow Idaho Power to focus its resources on growth in the gem state. Idaho Power serves about 20,000 residential, commercial, and industrial customers across 4 eastern Oregon counties. It's an area projected to be just 3% of the company's total sales by the end of this decade. What a day yesterday for Sun Valley's Hillary Knight, the captain of Team USA Women's Hockey. She got the game-tying goal with just over 2 minutes left in regulation in the gold medal game against Canada. That goal made her both the all-time leading scorer and points leader in Team USA Women's Hockey history. And then USA went on to pick up the overtime goal and take gold 2-1 over Canada. It's Knight's second gold medal of her career, her 5th Olympic medal overall. That is also a Team USA record for men's or women's hockey. And she also got engaged the day before the gold medal game to U.S. speed skater Brittany Bowe. The couple met at the Beijing Games 4 years ago. And that's your connector on this Friday morning. I'm Troy Oppie. To stay in touch with the news between now and our next episode this coming Monday, you want to visit our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. Follow us on socials wherever you get your social media feed, and have a great weekend.
Hi, it's Terry Gross, host of Fresh Air. Hey, take a break from the 24-hour news cycle with us and listen to long-form interviews with your favorite authors, actors, filmmakers, comedians, and musicians, the people making the art that nourishes us and speaks to our times. So listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.